Good evening. We have a member of the Ministerial Alliance with us here this evening. Randy, would you please lead us in prayer?
Before I lead us in prayer, I just want to say that I've been doing this a long time. And my good friend, Brad Alexander, that went to be with the Lord not long ago, he was probably in those first days part of this board that we face each week or each month. And we're so thankful for everything that you do. And Mayor Webb, we just want you to know that we are thankful for each one of you and the dedication that you have given to us. I especially remember Brad because he gave of himself, and I know here recently when he probably shouldn't have been here. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we thank you for your love and goodness. We thank you for this community. And thank you for this board and all these folks that work with and for the community of Oak Grove. And Lord, we just lift them up to you. And Lord, we thank you that we got to walk alongside our brother Brad Alexander and watch how to do things and how to do them right with conviction. And we pray these things in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did someone go out to check on that car? I was going to say, if it's mine, please let me know. It's a Ford truck. Anyone have a Ford truck?
What's it doing?
Honking.
Well, I do.
Everyone has a Ford truck in Oak Grove, right?
What color is it?
Oh, is it yours?
I don't know.
Did you get it? Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jeremy Taylor.
Here.
Rachel Kilmer.
Here.
Kelly Netto. Tracy Newcomer. Here. Jim Shrout.
Here.
And Mayor Dana Webb.
Here. I jumped out of order, didn't I? I call the October 17th, 2022 Board of Alderman meeting to order, and you call the roll. The next item on the on the agenda is new business, deletions, or continuances. We do not have any of those tonight, so our next item will be public comments. Public comments are on the agenda so that citizens can take up to 2 minutes per person. Do we have any this evening?
No, we do not.
No public comments. We will move on to the next item, which is the consent agenda. These items are considered on the consent agenda so that members of the Board of Aldermen, by unanimous consent, can designate routine items to be approved by one motion. Tonight, we have approval of the October 3rd, 2022 Board of Aldermen meeting minutes, expenditures through October 13th, 2022, and the September 2022 financial statement.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda items. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We do not have any of that tonight, so we will move on to new business. The first item is discussion, consideration, and possible action for Bill number 22-63 regarding an ordinance approving the final plat, White Oaks Crossing, second plat, replat A, part of Section 28, Township 49, Range 29, Oak Grove, Jackson County, Missouri. Who has that report? Mr. Randall?
That'd be me.
Oh, thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the final plat for White Oaks Crossing, second plat, replat A. The proposed development is for 45 single-family homes on 11 acres and is zone PUD. This is a replat of White Oaks Crossing Lot 2, which was originally filed with Jackson County in 2001 as a single lot with manufactured homes to be rented out by the development. This replat will divide part of that original Lot 2 into individual lots to be sold. The remainder of Lot 2 will be replatted in the near future. This process is similar to what happened to the first phase, which was originally platted as Lot 1 in 2000, and then replatted into single-family lots. This is just like the second phase of that development. The concept PUD plan was, along with the developer agreement, was revised and approved by the Board of Aldermen back in 2014. A preliminary plat, final PUD, and final plat for this phase was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission on October 4th of 2022. The public infrastructure, with the exception of the roads and the curbs, was originally built with Phase 1. And in accordance with our code section 405.425, this plat is substantially the same as the approved preliminary plat and final PUD plan. With us also were representatives from the development team, if you have any specific questions for them. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Does the board have any questions for Tom or any of the representatives here tonight?
Just out of curiosity, where does this lay within the overall development?
Sure, if you go north on White Oaks Drive where it dead ends there, where Ash, this road will extend White Oaks Drive and it'll curve around to the east. And then most of this is to the south of that curve. So it's kind of to the direct east of White Oaks Drive. It goes up and turns, and then this plat is the lower part of that.
This is an ordinance. If you guys have any other questions.
Make a motion for first and second reading by title only of Bill 22-63.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the first and second reading of the proposed ordinance by title only. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. City Clerk, would you please read the full title of the bill 2 times?
An ordinance approving the final plat, White Oaks Crossing, second plat, replat A, part of Section 28, Township 49, Range 29, Oak Grove, Jackson County, Missouri. An ordinance approving the final plat, White Oaks Crossing, second plat, replat A, part of Section 28, Township 49, Range 29, Oak Grove, Jackson County, Missouri.
Make a motion to approve the first and second reading and for adoption of Bill number 22-63.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the adoption of the ordinance. Any discussion? If not, City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jeremy Taylor,
Yes.
Rachel Kilmer,
Yes.
Tracy Newcomer,
Yes.
Jim Shrout.
Yes.
The motion is approved, and the bill becomes ordinance number 2051. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible action for Bill number 22-27 regarding an ordinance approving the final plat for Rustic Heights, part of Section 33, Township 49 North, Range 29 West, Oak Grove, Jackson County, Missouri. Tom?
Me again?
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the final plat for Rustic Heights. This development is located east of Jake's Crossing at the end of Southeast 4th Street past Walmart. The proposed development this particular plat is for 16 lots with 64 multifamily lots, so there's 16 fourplexes on 5.82 acres, and it's zoned PUD. This is the first phase of the Rustic Heights development, which eventually will be on 17 acres with 176 multifamily units, which includes 36 fourplexes and 4 eightplexes. The PUD concept plan and preliminary plat was approved by the Planning Commission and the Board of Aldermen in July of 2021, and the final PUD was approved by the Planning Commission in August of 2022. This development also required off-site right-of-way to extend 4th Street because between Jake's Crossing and this development was Jake's Crossing Second, which has been preliminary platted but never finalized, so they have to build part of 4th Street. and off-site sanitary sewer easements for a lift station that feeds this development. The infrastructure plans have been approved for construction, and also in accordance with our code section 405.425, the final plat is substantially the same as the approved preliminary plat and final PUD. And also, there's at least one representative from the development here team tonight. So if you have any questions for myself or the development team, let me know.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions from the board?
Will there have to be a traffic study done?
There was a traffic study that was done with the original PUD plan, and also there was a water system analysis and a storm. That usually is done in the preliminary plat and the PUD stages. But yes, there was, to answer your question.
This is an ordinance.
I move for first and second reading by title only of Bill number 22-27.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the first and second reading of the proposed ordinance by title only. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. City Clerk, would you please read the full title of the bill 2 times?
An ordinance approving the final plat, Rustic Heights, part of Section 33, Township 49 North, Range 29 West, Oak Grove, Jackson County, Missouri. An ordinance approving the final plat, Rustic Heights, part of Section 33, Township 49 North, Range 29 West, Oak Grove, Jackson County, Missouri.
I move for adoption of Bill number 22-27.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the adoption of the ordinance. Any discussion? If not, City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jeremy Taylor,
Yes.
Rachel Kilmer,
Yes.
Tracy Newcomer,
Yes.
Jim Shrout.
Yes.
Motion is approved, and the bill becomes ordinance number 2052. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a proposed application for site plan and design review for modification to the original approved site plan and design review for the addition to Jake's Industrial at 1101 Southwest First Street, Oak Grove, Missouri. It's you, Matt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
The applicant is requesting an approval of a revised site plan and design. The current plan was originally approved by the Planning Commission January 5th of 2021, and by this board January 19th of 2021. The approved site plan was for the expansion of the existing building, and the applicant at the time was requesting the use of metal to match the existing building. The code allows for metal panels to be used, but must be approved within conjunction with masonry construction. That approval must also be granted by both the Planning Commission and Board of Aldermen. The approved site plan included the addition of brick to match the existing brick on the east elevation or east side of the building. It also included a brick on the north elevation, which fronts I-70 on the expansion portions, and then also a small overlap, very small, a couple feet on the west side. The revised site plan includes masonry, so stone instead of brick, on the east elevation only, and there's no additional work that would be done on the north elevation. In your packet, there is a photo of the completed construction project as it sits today. So the applicant is requesting approval of the revised site plan to match the finished construction. So with that, happy to answer any questions that the board may have, and I'm not sure if there is someone from Jake's Industrial here tonight or not. See anybody, so.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just trying to orient myself here. The east elevation faces which street?
Robinson.
Robinson. Okay, okay. I make a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the proposed application for site plan and design review for Jake's Industrial at Southeast First Street, Oak Grove. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a sale of surplus property as listed in the attached memo on govdeals.com.
That's me again. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is our annual selling of our surplus property. We've coordinated with all three departments, Parks and Rec, Police, and Public Works, and we've come up with a list of a few items. We have a 2012 Dodge Charger from the Police Department, a 2004 Mercury Mountaineer from Parks, a 1991 Bobcat skid steer, which is one of three Bobcats. We never use this. It's up in our North facility, so it hasn't been running. It's in pretty poor condition. A vibrating plate compactor, a Delta toolbox that goes in a truck, air hoses, and some miscellaneous piping, meters, and other apparatus from the upgrades to our wastewater treatment plant and our main lift station. If you guys approve this, we will advertise these on govdeals.com, which is an online government surplus auction site. As part of that process, they get a 7.5% fee, which is paid by the buyer. So whatever they bid is what we get, and then they have to pay on top of that the 7.5%. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions from the board?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the surplus property memo for govdeals.com. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a request for a purchase of a 2023 Ford F-250 4x4 from Joe Mackins, is that right? Mackin Ford, utilizing the state purchasing contract to replace a totaled 2019 Ford F-250 4x4. You again, Tom.
Me, last time tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, we're asking to both order and authorization to purchase this once it comes in of a 2023 F-250. This will be part of our snow fleet. It replaces a 2019 that was totaled. As part of the settlement, we are receiving an insurance payment of $41,353.34. And Joe Mockham's has, the state contract's been vetted through the system. Their bid on a 2023 is $45,486. And if you look on the memo, a lot of the Dodge companies have already closed ordering for the 2023 ordering year. And midway forward, we can't even get a quote. And we typically find that the state contract has the lowest prices. In addition to the price of the vehicle, there's about $1,500 worth of lights and decals and other things that go on this vehicle. So with the difference, what we're asking for is to be able to order and purchase the vehicle, and then as part of so the difference between the insurance and what the vehicle will cost us is about $5,632. I read a comment in there wrong. $5,632.66. So we'll be having that as part of the 2023 budget. Because once you order, it takes about 10 months to receive this vehicle, so, yes. And
10 months.
If you recall, whenever, back in January, we ordered the vac truck that's supposed to be here next week, and then our Maverick got here like last week, so it's a long wait on any kind of vehicles right now. So with that, I'll be able to answer any questions for you.
So you said it's part of the snow fleet, so do you have something else to use while you're waiting for this for 10
Right,
months?
we typically run 4 of the smaller pickup trucks. We have 4 routes, and we have 6 vehicles that plow snow, and this was the 6th one. So we have 5, plus we have larger trucks. So, plus Parks Department, if we come into a bind, has a couple plow-equipped trucks we could borrow.
Okay. Thank you.
So, is there ever, does the city always prefer to purchase brand-new vehicles? Is it not, like, is you get a better deal with the state contract of a brand-new vehicle as opposed to like a year-old vehicle that's actually available before 10 months?
I think so, because we also get warranties with them, so
Okay.
there is advantage to buying new. But yeah, that was an option, but it'd probably be hard to find this type of vehicle right now.
Okay.
And usually we get the fleet vehicles, which are like the XL with the, not a lot of bells and whistles that normally we would buy. So
Okay,
it's usually a lower end truck.
okay.
So Tom, this the plow will fit on this truck okay?
Right, we'll have to, usually when we buy a new vehicle, we get everything installed at once. The brackets that were on this truck are total as well, so we'll have to work with the plow manufacturer. The plow is safe, it's up in the north shop. We'll just have to get brackets and the wiring. Actually, we were able to salvage the joystick out of the old vehicle.
So
So
they
it's a
are-
matter of the brackets and the wiring for the new truck.
So it will be available?
It will be available, yes.
Any other questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the 2023 Ford F-250 4x4. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is presentation regarding solar panel regulations. Mr. Randall?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the city's current solar code was adopted in 2013 via ordinance 1784. The code provides energy system regulations for both residential and non-residential installations. The code is designed to encourage solar systems while also making sure that those systems are consistent with architectural, building, and aesthetic standards of the community to protect health, safety to the public, as well as property values. The board requested staff to review the section that prohibits solar panels to be placed on the front slope of the principal building, particularly in R1 single-family homes. In your packet, there's examples from nearby cities and how they regulate the front slope installation. Most cities that do have a solar code do allow for front slope installation, but they limit the projection of those solar panels on the front slope to be no more than 24 inches or 2 feet perpendicular to that roof. Several other cities also include that the solar panels on the front or sides of pitches of the roof also should not extend beyond the peak of the roof. So looking at a solar panel that shouldn't be higher than the peak of the roof, as well as not more than 24 inches perpendicular to where the solar panel is installed. If you look through the packet, most cities have very similar language. The 24 inches are found in Pleasant Hills Code, Lee Summit, Independence, and Belton. Several other cities also have 24 inches. There was one city where it was 12 inches, but most of cities seem to be at 24 inches. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Matt.
Do most cities in regards to solar have a distinction between residential and commercial?
Yeah, so they do typically, in residential, say for instance, they don't, wouldn't allow ground mount solars in commercial zones. They would allow that primarily when you're talking about roof mounted equipment. Similar to our code, they talk about principal buildings, which could be commercial or residential.
I just don't, you didn't put Blue Springs in there. I know that I've seen commercial buildings with front elevation, so I didn't know if they had a distinction between residential and commercial,
But
or if you just didn't have them as an example.
you're saying roof. But you're saying most cities, they don't allow the ground mount, correct, in city limits?
Well, some do in city limits, but not in residential areas. If you
Residential,
do ground mount, you need to have it either in commercial, or if they have, say, a larger lot, estate lots type things where you have multiple acres, then perhaps it's allowed.
Have you had a lot of requests to change these, or?
I do know, at least, in the last several months, there's been a couple people that have come to this meeting with that. We also do get, during new installs, when folks are getting it permitted, based on the number of cells that they need in order for the installation to make sense financially, I think, for that particular home, and the way that they're angled, depending on their elevations, that some people do want it on their front slope, particularly to meet however much kilowatt hours they need to generate in order for it to make financial sense. So I do know that our building official could probably speak better to that on the number of folks that request front slopes but But yeah, we do have some folks that,
I just was wondering, does it need to be on certain, like on the southern exposure or something? Is that what when you put these panels up, or does that make a difference?
Yeah, I think that's what he's
The
saying.
southern side, or,
Yeah, that's what, he's saying that some of them,
okay.
some of the houses that people have made comments, they've come here for public comments, or we've received phone calls, and they can't have
They
them.
can't have because of that?
Yeah,
Okay,
correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me because you might live on a back up to a busy road where your back slope is exposed to more people than your front slope. So
There's houses back up into Robinson, Oaks
Yeah.
of Edgewood, that you can see them
Yeah,
that's
clearly.
exactly what I'm
You
thinking
can't-
about. Yeah.
So,
And if you drive around other cities, you see them on all different sides of the houses, so.
Yeah, and I apologize, just noticed that the memo was cut off, must have gone into dead space there. So solar panels is part of our Unified Development Code, UDC. And so in order to make changes to that code, there is a process. You have to have a public hearing. We have to publicize the public hearing up to 15 days minimum. Then it would go to Planning and Zoning Commission. They would make a recommendation. It would come to this board, and there would also be a public hearing for that. So for tonight's discussion, really what staff's looking for is direction on the types of things that maybe, if we want to adjust the code, then staff will work on drafting a code based on your guidance that then would go part of that public hearing process and come back to this board. Our code, for changes to the UDC, they can either come from request from the Board of Aldermen, the department that oversees that particular section of code implementation, or the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
so I guess I would make a motion to direct staff to move forward with the process to amend the UDC to allow for front elevations in a similar fashion to surrounding cities. The same 24-inch perpendicular guidelines.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how specific you have to get, but if we can make allowances for people that are on acreage and in city limits to have the ground mounts too, I think that would make sense. I don't know, over a certain number of acres or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
we
it's not
can-
part of the motion, but
Yeah,
just my thoughts.
Yeah, and primarily what we researched was on the front slope things, but certainly we will look at what our cities are doing for the acreage.
I mean, I feel like
and
if
come
we're
back
gonna
with-
have the hearing and go through all the things, we might as well explore all the potential pitfalls. Just my
Absolutely.
thoughts. So I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to, I'm not sure I can remember everything they said, so, Chris, can I just say a motion and a second for to city staff to work on the language to amend the current ordinance?
Yeah, I think the motion, you can summarize it, and I
Yeah.
think the motion was to direct staff to proceed with
Proceed.
drafting language, and I took it to mean notice it up, take it to the public hearing, all that.
Everything, okay.
At Planning Commission.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second for city staff to proceed with new language, amended language, and to proceed with taking it to public hearing, planning and zoning, and then back to the board. All right. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is a presentation regarding slow-speed neighborhood vehicles. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. This is brought back in front of you this evening, really based on the amount of contact that we are receiving, whether it be by telephone, email, or in public during such events as Look Skillet is. Currently, the wave throughout the whole metro area is the use of utility or recreation or neighborhood vehicles, as many have called them, many of the other communities have called them. And we seem to be falling behind in what other communities have done. So this is brought back up for any questions, any concerns. Currently, Oak Grove ordinance, which was adopted in 2008, allows for the use of golf carts, what we termed in 2008 as gators, which was maybe a general term at that point, but only designates one specific brand. So we're left to assume that they meant utility vehicles, and then riding lawnmowers. And that was for convenience of going to the gas station, getting fuel, or small trips throughout the city, not on Broadway, only to cross at a right angle at Broadway. And so as the other communities around us change, we are faced with this almost on a daily basis of the traveling between the two communities or other communities around us to where the recreational vehicles are allowed and we're enforcing and committing or having to do stops on a regular basis to inform them that not here. And so it's a deeper dive of look into that of how we can look at allowing and regulating or continuing to ban and go in stricter enforcement of that. And so I'm seeking direction on the board's opinion of how they would like for me to handle that.
Thank you, Chief.
So you're saying that our officers are having to basically do more work to police these vehicles being on the street because we don't have any like specific language of whether they're allowed or in what
Right.
capacity?
If you're coming from Grand Valley and you're taking the back roads, you are operating fine. Look at it in the sense of if we were the only agency that didn't prohibit, or we still prohibited helmets. And you have all these motorcyclists that are riding throughout the state of Missouri, but then when they come to Oak Grove, they have to put a helmet on. And if they don't, they're going to get a citation. So it's the same thing with the UTVs and the surrounding vehicle or surrounding communities around us. We're preventing them from coming into our city because we don't allow the recreational vehicles. And we're preventing also the use of recreational vehicles for the things inside of our city that may be or may accommodate them, such as town events, fireworks displays, things of that nature, to where a full vehicle may not really be what they're looking for.
Okay.
The UTVs do provide a little bit more protection than some would imagine because they are built with the safety equipment that is required by NHTSA, as well as they are insurable, and that is a requirement that the surrounding communities have, is that they be insured vehicles, that they are operated by a licensed driver, 16 or older, and that they do have seat belts and if operated during the hours of darkness, headlights and tail lamps on them as well.
You mentioned the other cities that have authorized them. Do you see any issues within the guidelines that they've set forth, say for Green Valley?
Grand Valley actually has a model ordinance that we would truly look at, why reinvent the wheel. They've done a very good job of crafting their ordinance, and it reads very well.
Is there any sort of like registration process or like stickers or anything that would mark what are approved? Like what's the ideal situation, I guess, that?
That would be a board decision. Surrounding communities have found that it is best to have a registration process so that we can verify that this is a manufactured vehicle that meets all the specifications as required, that insurance is held, and that we have a registered vehicle with a bill of sale of that family. And so the state has put into statute that municipalities may charge $15 per year to register recreational vehicles or UTVs, and they may do that on a 2-year basis. So 30 is the max that you may charge, or 15 per year. And the easiest way to accomplish that is to look at ways of doing odd and even years to where you're only dealing with half your population each year. So if you have an odd registration number, then you would do in 23. And so you do your 2 years. And to start off with, the evens would only do 1 year. And so you could set that up to where it does not become a hindrance to daily work of the department.
So these inspections, is this something, I know we talked about this, is something that the police department will
Yes.
inspect the vehicle then? To look-
Correct.
Do they have to have, I don't know if some of these come out with turn signals, do they? Or is that something that's going to be required? Or-
No, but that's where we would fall right in line with bicycles and motorcycles that do not have those as well. And so hand requirements would be in place there.
Another question I had, I know they talk about coming from one city to another from Oak Grove to Green Valley. You're not supposed to take it out in AA, correct?
Depends on the speed of the road. Is anything, you cannot be on any roadways over 35.
Okay, even on AA?
Yeah, on state statutes, that's 35. State statute even goes so far as to say that a recreational vehicle or UTV should not be taken further than 3 miles from the residents unless a city has a ordinance allowing such movement.
Well, I was also reading in the state ordinances for the agricultural use of these vehicles, but they do have from sunset to sunrise.
Right, because most agricultural vehicles, older ones at least, do not have any of the headlights or taillights.
Which keeps, I mean, a lot of the farmers will be out there all night long.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah. But newer combines also have air conditioning too, which didn't for a long time ago. One thing that we would be steadfast in not allowing is any ATV, which is any saddle mount vehicle, whether it be a two or one person or two person. ATV by state statute does not fall on this allowability.
So we're looking at SUVs only and
Yes, we're looking at what would be called side-by-sides or
side-by-sides
true
and,
recreational
and
vehicles.
golf carts,
And golf carts and utility vehicles.
but not the saddle type.
Just nothing that is a saddle type, correct. And we would want to designate 3 different golf carts, utility vehicles, and recreation vehicles if we were doing a model ordinance.
I'd like to make a motion that city staff looks into updating the ordinance mirroring Green Valleys.
Second?
Well, I got one more question.
Uh-huh.
And I understand, well, I've got a saddle type, but I keep it at my farm, so I don't even take it out on the roads. But you're gonna have people look at it as like a motorcycle too, though, saddle type. I mean, we're allowing motorcycles, I mean, that's a legal thing, but we're not gonna allow these? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, the ATVs that are the saddle type just do not fit within the off-highway motor vehicle statutes that the state has erected because of speed, because of safety, because there are no seat belts to them. There's no cage to them. Even though a golf cart would not have seat belts on it, a golf cart still wouldn't hit the speeds that an ATV
Right.
would.
Yeah, that's true.
And so the state does not feel that they fit within the safety parameters that a side-by-side does.
All right, I have a motion and a second for city staff to bring back language that mirrors the Green Valley language for slow-speed neighborhood vehicles. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is information reports. Mr. Randall, do you have one?
No report. Thank you, Mayor.
Chris? No report. Mark?
No report, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Chief?
Only reminder that the drug take-back is scheduled for later this month here in the front parking lot. That'll be on a Saturday from 10 to 2. And I'm sorry, but the date just escapes me, but I think it's October 29th,
Okay, great.
the last Saturday of the month.
And then it's also, people can bring any type of small drugs into our lobby.
You bet.
At
We
any
act-
time. I think people don't know that. I just had told someone that about a month ago. You can drop those off at any time. You do not have to take, I found this out, the label off, because they pretty much just, what do they do?
We actually now have 2 boxes.
Okay.
We have a drop box here at the city building as well as the Davis Center in
Okay.
the front lobby. They felt that 2 fit our community a lot better, so those are always available.
Perfect, yeah. So if you missed that one, we always have one here.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Tom?
No report.
All right. Kim?
Yes, just that the last third Thursday food trucks is this week, the 20th. So come on out and enjoy. Hopefully the weather will be a little warmer.
I usually count on you for that plug for the Christmas parade again. You're supposed to every week.
Is it too early?
No,
I'll
it's
go
not
ahead.
too early.
All right, I will put out the plug. The Christmas, Spirit of Christmas is going to be the first Saturday, December the 3rd. We have Breakfast with Santa at 9 o'clock at the Field House. Winter Wonderland with the games, crafts, activities for the kids. We have the Santa's Workshop, which is vendors, about 16 vendors at that location from 9 to 2. We'll start lining up for the parade at 4 o'clock in front of the middle school and elementary school. It'll be down 12th Street, and then we'll head south on Broadway to City Hall. The parade starts at 5 o'clock, and then the mayor's Christmas tree lighting would be immediately following the parade. So We have hot chocolate and cookies during that time. The high school choir will be here to sing. And so it is a full day of Christmas and just fellowship with your community and a good event. So
Kim will be telling us that every meeting until then, so, thank you, Kim. Scott? Let's start down here. You have a report, Tracy?
No report.
All right.
No
Jeremy?
report.
Jim?
None for me, no.
No
Rachel?
report.
All right. I don't have a report either. That was a pretty reportless night. So the next item on the agenda is executive session. I'm looking for a motion, please.
Make a motion, we adjourn to executive session under State Statute 610.021, Section 13.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn to executive session 610.021, Section 13. Any discussion? If not, City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jeremy Taylor,
Yes.
Rachel Kilmer,
Yes.
Tracy Newcomer,
Yes.
and Jim Shrout.
Yes.
We are adjourned to